So this is a 1/2 kilogram stainless steel weight with 1/4x20 threading on the top and bottom. I've received this to review for free, but if you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you $40, and that seems like a lot of money for a stainless steel weight with some threading on it. They haven't paid me for this review, so my opinions remain my own. Alright, so in the bag, you get the stainless steel weight. It says Best360 on it. It has 1/4x20 threading on the bottom, 1/4x20 bolt head on the top with this kind of rubber grippy surface here. So, let's make sure it actually is a 1/2 kilogram. I don't have any reason to doubt it, but 513 grams, so we have 13 grams of rubber padding and a 1/2 kilogram weight. Now this guy is supposed to be stainless steel, and I agree that yes, it is stainless steel. My super strong rare earth magnet will not even attach to it at all, so it's pretty high grade of stainless steel as well, so that thing's not going to rust. Now what do you do with a weight like this? Well, let's say you have a lightweight tripod with a lightweight camera on it and it's really windy out and you're worried about the wind wibbling this thing around. You can place this guy between the tripod and your camera and it weights the whole assembly down. Now it also adds a little bit of height to this thing, so it adds approximately 2¼ inches there. But it makes this thing significantly heavier, and it sets down, and it's much less likely to wobble around or fall over in the wind. Now the other use for this, the more common use for this, is a counterweight at the rear end of a selfie stick. So some selfie sticks will have a 1/4x20 nut in the bottom of them so that you can attach this to the bottom and it will counteract the weight of the camera at the end of the selfie stick. Unfortunately for me, my selfie stick, instead of having a 1/4x20 nut in the bottom, has a tripod on the bottom. So we are going to evaluate this as a selfie stick weight by taping the sucker to the bottom of my selfie stick. And we're also testing the gaffer's tape to make sure it can hold 1/2 kilogram weight. But gaffer's tape is awesome. Still, I'm not going to get my toes near this thing. Alright, so this weight at the end does a good job of making my entire selfie stick heavier, and my balance point is now here, so that, you know, if I'm holding this selfie stick, now my phone, which is pretty far out there, balances here, which is kind of closer to the handle. And so if you're holding it kind of like where you normally would, it makes this whole thing a little bit heavier, but it's not pulling forward in your hand quite as much as it would if you just had the phone out there. The question for you becomes kind of total fatigue on your arm of, you know, you're holding another 1/2 kilogram weight here. You know, so you're adding 1 pound to your selfie sticks and phone's weight, but it's adding the balance so that your wrist isn't being torqued down that way all the time. So that's kind of the trade-off you have to make of adding weight to your whole selfie stick versus making the balance point closer to the back. Alright, so I've taken the weight off. The selfie stick definitely feels lighter, but there is a lot more tension on my arm here holding this wrist up. So actually, surprisingly, I actually think I do prefer it with the added pound of weight on the end to get the balance point right. And if you had a lighter selfie stick that actually had a screw-in point at the bottom, that would be a lot easier to just add that on when you wanted to make use of it. Alright, so final thoughts. This is a nice piece of stainless steel. The edges are nicely beveled, drilled and tapped, looks very close to the center. I would actually be not surprised if I ripped this rubber off to find that this guy here was actually out of the same piece of metal and they just lathed it down and cut threads into it. The other option is they tapped and drilled holes on both sides and just put a threaded rod in with, some type of thread locker on the bottom. But at this price price point, they'd better have laid that thing off, because this thing feels, you know, it's a nice piece of metal, nicely made, but the price just seems stupidly expensive for a piece of metal. You know, it's not even, you know, it's lathed, but it's not even something to be milled. It's just, you know, a nicely lathed piece of metal. This feels like a great present for somebody who would not buy it for themselves because it's so expensive, you know. So if you know somebody who uses a selfie stick a lot, take a look at the bottom of their selfie stick. If it has a 1/4x20, you know, tripod socket on it, consider getting this for them as a gift. You know, it's not a super expensive gift, but, you know, it seems like a lot of money to spend for a chunk of metal.